getting ready to go here. All right, please welcome the nuclear power group. We're going to start with the cons.
Discussing the cons of nuclear power. Nuclear fission first began in the years between 1895 and 1945, and the evolution of nuclear power started in World War II and continued afterwards with the use of nuclear products in 1956.
To conserve the diminishing coal supply in the United States, nuclear power was used for domestic energy instead of just ships. The U.S. Subcommittee on Domestic Energy has posed a question on whether to invest money into the production of new nuclear power plants or to invest that money into new, more eco-friendly alternatives for energy. We believe that they should not invest this money into new nuclear power plants because of the risk of pollution and radiation, the cost of nuclear waste disposal, the cost of building and maintaining a power plant, and the risk of meltdowns.
Hello, my name is Zephaniah Frankart, and this is Emma Kaiser and Taylor Wendell. Our presentation is the pros of nuclear energy. The development of nuclear energy began in 1789 when Martin Klaproth, a German chemist, discovered the element uranium. Later, Marie Curie discovered the radioactive properties of uranium and used them to treat tumors.
After World War II, many nations started looking for a way to turn nuclear weapons into nuclear power. This started with the US and their Atomic Energy Act of 1946. This act stated that the government could hire privately owned companies to create the reactors, but the companies couldn't actually own any of the hazardous materials themselves.
The United States House Subcommittee on Domestic Energy needs to recommend whether the federal government should subsidize the construction of the first nuclear power plant to be built in 5 years, or to direct the money into research for alternate energy sources. The subcommittee wants to know the advantages and disadvantages of nuclear power before deciding. The advantages of nuclear power is that it's more eco-friendly than other sources of energy, air energy sources, and is more efficient than its leading competitors such as coal and oil.
The mining, transportation, and storage of uranium has led to large amounts of pollution and radiation. If not done properly, hazardous uranium gases can be released into the atmosphere during the mining and transportation processes. Nuclear waste is stored in large, overcrowded cooling cells for the 240,000 years it takes for uranium to become safe for the environment again. These cells normally contain 5 times more radiation than the plants themselves, and the cells can easily overheat, catch fire, and release radiation in that way. Also, according to the Nuclear Energy Institute, an average power plant produces and releases 20 metric tons of highly dangerous radiation each year. In the US alone, it is the average of highly dangerous radiation is about 1,220 metric tons a year. High exposure to this radiation can lead to fatal diseases, cataracts, sterility, and physical and genetic mutations.
One nuclear power plant can produce 9 to 21 grams of carbon dioxide a year, while in comparison, one coal power plant can produce 790 to 1,017 grams of carbon dioxide a year.
The cost to get rid of nuclear power or nuclear products is extremely high, and therefore many companies try to avoid doing so. In order to properly dispose of nuclear waste, one must isolate or dilute the waste to reduce the radioactivity. Fortunately, the more radioactive a substance is, the faster it decays. However, until it does completely decay, it is still extremely dangerous to the surrounding environment.
Nuclear energy produces a large part of clean energy. In the US alone, it produces 70.9% of all clean energy, with hydro producing 25.4% and solar, geothermal, and wind producing 3.7%. As you can see in the diagram, it takes a lot of space for solar and wind energy to create what just one nuclear power plant can generate. It takes 60 square miles of land for solar and 5,400 windmills for wind energy to create what one nuclear power plant can create. Also, solar energy, you need sunny, open land, and the propellers on the windmills kill birds and bats. Nuclear power doesn't have any of these cons.
Nuclear energy needs a large amount of investment. Many developing countries cannot afford such an expensive source of alternative energy. The average nuclear power plant takes 5 to 10 years to build because of the legal formalities that must be completed.
Nuclear energy is an efficient source of energy. According to Dr. Elizabeth K. Irving of the University of Mississippi, a single nuclear reactor can generate enough electricity to power up to 740,000 households annually, while in contrast, it would require 13.7 million tons of coal. 13 tons of coal and 65.8 billion cubic feet of natural gas.
Another con of nuclear energy is the risk of nuclear meltdown. Nuclear meltdown results in the release of many different radioactive elements such as iodine-131, cesium-137, and strontium-90. These cause different types of illnesses and cancers such as thyroid cancer and cancer in your bone marrow. The nuclear power plant at Lake Anna, North Anna Power Station, it consists of 2 reactors, one built in 1978 and one in 1980. These reactors have a standard 50-mile contamination radius, and the land within that radius, it has 465 public schools, 75 hospitals, and 2 million people as of 2010. And the land in this radius will be unable to be used in the event of a nuclear meltdown at Lake Anna. There have been several different nuclear meltdowns. The one in the event of Chernobyl in what is now Ukraine, more than 50 tons of radioactive material was released into the atmosphere, and more than 30,000 people died as a direct result of the meltdown, and more than 2.5 million people today still struggle with illnesses and cancers from the nuclear meltdown.
The advantages of nuclear energy are that one nuclear power plant can produce electricity at a cheap rate of $1.82 per kilowatt hour, while coal, another major power source, can produce electricity at a rate of $2.13 per kilowatt hour. One nuclear power plant can produce 7.9 billion kilowatt hours annually, and coal can produce that same amount of energy, but would have to burn 3.4 million tons of coal to achieve it.
Some other benefits of nuclear power is its safety. All nuclear power plants have plans set in motion for meltdowns and for other natural disasters like earthquakes.
Also, it is safer to stand next to a nuclear waste container than it is to use everyday items such as cell phones. Cell phones expose you to more radiation than from an actual nuclear waste container. The benefits of nuclear power is that it is eco-friendly, it is a large portion of clean air energy, and it is an efficient source of energy.
The risk of radiation, the cost of disposal, the cost of building and maintaining, and the risk of a meltdown are all cons of nuclear energy. The U.S. House Subcommittee on Domestic Energy should put its funds towards finding a different source of alternative energy instead of building the first reactor to be built in 5 years.
This presentation proves that nuclear power is unsafe and unclean for the environment. The government should not invest in an energy source that has the ability to severely harm its land and its people.
We recommend that more nuclear power plants should be built. Again, I'm Zephaniah Frankart, this is Emma Kaiser, and this is Taylor Wendell.
There's a question over here, and then this next.
How many times a year is radiation not disposed of properly?
I did not research that thoroughly.
My question has to be, you talked about the cost of disposal. What is the cost of disposal of nuclear waste?
The cost of disposal is extremely high. I'm not entirely sure of the exact numbers.
Mr. Dyson.